Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. Really excited to be joined by my co-host, Kathleen Bradley. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Glad to be here today. It's so much excitement where we are today at our new location. And Music and Medicine is meeting up with BET Experience.
Yeah.
And we have some great guests today, don't we?
Absolutely. So we're here at LA Live, BET Experience, and with the incomparable Chester Whitmore. You have danced your way into our lives, into our hearts. Protege of the Nicholas brothers and film. You've worked with so many great artists. I wanted to just try to roll back the clock of time before I know you're still doing films, and talk about just how you got started, how it maybe even chose you, but how you chose dance.
Oh, wow. Well, the reality, I don't call myself a dancer.
Okay.
I'm more, I started off as a filmmaker.
Oh.
I was a filmmaker first, and I was doing research on the world of dance. And I was at Barnstable Park at that time. And we had to, say it's before digital was all out.
Sure.
That happened. And they had me do a documentary on this ballet company. And something came to occur at this time. I'm talking about in the 60s.
Right. And how old were you then?
I was just in my teens.
Okay.
I was in my teens. I was 17. And I was looking at all these old movies. I love classic old movies. Of course, you don't hardly see a lot of African Americans in the films at that time. And I said, okay, the world of dance. I said, what did blacks contribute to the world of dance? Because most of the books you see now, it has contemporary European ballet modern, that type of form.
Right.
But I was determined to find out. So I said, tap dance. Okay. I love Bill Robinson. I love all those old guys. And I said, got to find books. Books were not discontinued at that time. Mm. So a friend of mine named Angela McIntosh, she said, there's this place on 1308 New Hampshire. Mm. And it was called the Inner City Cultural Center.
And where exactly was it in the city?
Los Angeles, right in the heart.
Near Pico.
Pico. Yeah.
And Western.
And that's where I met
me.
Right.
Yeah.
I was saying you guys aren't old enough to know each other. So maybe the 70s.
But he's way older than me.
Sure. Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
No, but Inner City Cultural Center, man, that was where a lot of people came out of Art Evans, Minterm,
William Marshall,
Glenn Marshall, Marilyn Coleman, Bill Duke.
You name it.
You name it, but a lot of people there, and that's where I met him. And we did a play together.
Yes. And it was dealing with dance.
It was called Crenshaw
Boulevard.
I couldn't tap dance worth a damn. I had like 10 left feet. And I couldn't believe it, but it was such a wonderful time there in the environment. Chester was a choreographer there for us.
And it was a pleasure.
Cliff Rockmore was directing.
Yo, God.
Ed Cambridge was one of the key acting coaches there. And
these are talk about giants of the industry that made black films and theater.
Right.
What it was today. A lot of the new actors and stuff it was a hub, a 3-story hub that the actors, we had to learn how to dissect a script. You had to learn, you sung, you dance, you build your own props. Did lighting, sound, music. That was a one-stop shop. And the good thing about it, all the masters were there to teach. I mean, you come in one there, B. Richards in there teaching a class, showing you what they, oh my God, I got her for a teacher. But that was the place I went to find out this gentleman was there, he could teach you how to dance. I said, oh, really? And I had my bicycle. In those days, he had a bicycle with the banana seats. With that type of situation. I walked over there, went to the place, and the room was closed. It was a Wednesday night. It was closed. He wasn't there. I was mad. I said, God, I rolled all the way out here. So I rolled back down Pico. Past near Normandy, and there's this gentleman. His car was right at the side, and he's trying to pull his tire. Nobody was helping him. I said, well, somebody, let's help the guy. He's trying to. So I rode over and said, you need some help? He said, yeah, I need some help. So I got off my bike and started pulling the tire on. He looked on my handlebars. He saw tap shoes. He said, you're a hoofer. I said, what? I thought
right.
I thought he called him. Y'all thought he called me a hooker.
Or a heifer.
Yeah.
I said, what's that? He said, it's a dancer. You're a dancer. I said, oh, really? He said, I tap dance. I said, sure, this guy.
Right.
He said, I just helped him. He gave me his card. I looked at the card. I said, that's nice, It's on my head. Got back home, kept on doing my research. And my mother, she said, you know what? You look like you're getting frustrated trying to find out these different dances.
Yeah.
Why don't you take that gentleman's offer?
Right.
That's how I will. Went over to the house today, knocked on the door. He opened up and said, oh, you made it. Come on in. I walked in. He pulled the rug up. And he said, now you got to remember I was taking tap, but it was not the type of tap you see in the musicals and stuff. He said, show me what you got. So I thought I was some hot stuff. Yeah, I got out there. He looked at me and said, interesting. Try this. Bam! I said, mine don't look like yours. He said, if you want this, you got to do it. You got to practice. I'll be willing to. We became great friends. Come to find out, it was the same gentleman that didn't go to Innocent because he had the flat tire. I would have never got a chance to meet him. God,
and his name was?
Fayard Nicholas.
Oh, yeah. Fayard Nicholas. The Nicholas brothers.
Exactly.
Right.
He was the first one to give me my job. He gave me how to teaching job. And everybody would come to his classes. It was a lot of people. We had Donald O'Connor. We had Eleanor Powell, Eddie Rochester Anderson. He used to be on the Jack Benny show. And I'm looking at all these legends people. And then, but at that time, the name didn't ring to me. And we were just hanging out, learning the dance till one night, 2:30 in the morning. And you got to remember that this time, not too many blacks were on television. There's this musical that came out, and it was an all-black cast. Everybody's dancing and singing. I'm like, what is this? This is different. Sure. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at all these people doing all these dances. They had Cap Calloway and Fats Waller, then you name it. And then I told my friends about it. And then at the end, these two guys are flying down the stairs and doing splits and everything. And I was telling my friends, it's just, there's no black people on TV. I said, yes, there are. I saw it. You dream that stuff.
Right.
Nobody. They only put us on late at night.
Right.
So nobody.
Right.
So I was discussing, thinking, and my teacher said, he said, what's wrong? I saw this movie, and I explained it to him. He said, oh, hold on a minute. Pulled out a drawer, pulled out 8 by 10s. Look at it. I said, hey, there's a Heidi Ho guy. And that's the guy. So I said, oh, that's you. And that's how I knew it was Fayard.
Sure.
And they didn't know the magnitude.
I wanted to ask, talk to us a little bit about tap, though, where it originated and just sort of the art form itself.
The art form itself is original. It is from Africa. A lot of people said it is Irish mixed. They had something to do with it. But when you talk about vernacular jazz and jazz dance, it's meaning the homegrown of it. America never had its own dance. America has never had its own music.
Right.
Until they brought us here. They tried to force us to do their form of dance. When you talk about Irish jigs and stuff like that, that is another form. But we were forced to learn the jig on the slave ships. The only reason the jig was there is because, if you ever seen a slave ship, it's hundreds of tied and you separate it and they take you out in layers and they teach you to dance. You can't do your dance because remember, the drum was taken away.
Right.
Your language was taken, your name was taken away. So in order for control. So then you got to dance what they want you to dance. You have to learn the jig to keep, get rubber wire to see them. It just keep their feet moving or else you get tossed over into the ocean. A lot of them came back and so a lot of them looked at the style of dancing, learned it because in classical dancing or it's in a beat of two. That's a waltz rhythm.
Right.
But I'm just letting they would make fun of them doing their triads. And the slaves would look at it and say, well, why are you doing that? They still remember the rhythms that they had, but for the djembe and the juju and drop to their feet. And this is on granite, dirt. First, it's slide.
Right.
And so they said, well, I could do that. And they would make fun of them, but they would do it in their own groove. And they would do it, to syncopate it. And all of a sudden, a lot of whites would look and say, wow, that's different. And they would say, looking at them and make fun of them. And they bounce back and make fun of them. And rhythms change. Why go on G? That's a waltz or slow, quick step. That's a foxtrot rhythm, which also was invented by a black person, James in Europe, the first Civil War Army person. And that's, okay, the master where the tap come from, involved into the ground, was a guy named Master Juba, Henry Lane. He was the guy. Influenced African groove rhythms, grabbed the others, and fused it.
Right.
And it became syncopated. And he danced it. He became one of the girls. This is around when blackface was happening, but he was not had blackface. He was on a plantation, and he was free because of his dancing. He was once in 1867. And he was the only one that was, at that time, created to be the world's best dancer in the world because it's its syncopated rhythm. At that time, whites was copying the blacks, doing certain rhythm. First step was called a granite move or buck dancing. You know what a buck
Butt
is?
dance.
Buck.
Oh, butt.
A buck. That's what they call it. And a lot of whites said, oh, you look at doing that buck dancing, that darky stuff. But a lot of whites wanted to learn it because it was not the same rhythm.
What they know. Right.
So it started to catch on. So then those rhythms started. Henry Lane became one of the greatest dancers in the world. Then all of a sudden they had this is where you get the establish of the Great White Hope.
Right.
Which it still exists today. Rhythm and blues or hip hop, it still exists today. When you get a white person that can imitate a black person, now they're his hero. They're their hero. Yeah, this is our hero.
Right.
Their hero.
Created it.
Richard Diamond came along. Richard Diamond was the next dancer. And he went against Henry Lane. He said, oh, we got a white guy that can dance like a black guy.
Right.
Of course, it got to a point that those two had to meet. And they battled. Had 3 rounds battle. First one, Master Juba won. Second one, they didn't like that, so they had a rematch. Henry Lane won. And then third one, all out, Master Juba won again. That ground dancing became the buck dancing, which became tap dancing on the solid floor. Flat-footed dancing. It went up. Then it went into vaudeville. Then you had the shows on vaudeville. And a lot of people was going around. Blackface was it was still there. You had to go, only was a black person get on stage. You had more than one. If you came on stage by yourself, that's too much power for you.
Right.
Against the white
Right.
category. So that happened. Bill Robinson came along.
Right.
Bojangles. He defied that.
Right.
Boom. Everybody said, whoa. He was it. And he defied everything.
Yeah, when he danced with Shirley Temple.
Oh, that's it.
Right.
That's it. And I tell people, he broke the barrier.
Oh, he broke the
Especially
mold barrier, the glass,
the whole thing.
My
universe.
building came down.
Oh, he was monster.
And
And those movies, the movies that been ready, she was in the 60s.
Right.
Before he
Yeah,
got
he was.
there. And you talk about the history of tap dancing or who are the greatest teen dancers in Hollywood. You look in the Hollywood book and say, oh, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers. But who's the second team? Bill Robinson and Shirley too.
Yeah.
Because they broke that barrier.
Right.
Because when people saw the film, they weren't looking at race.
Sure.
They were looking at the talent. How does a 60-year-old girl can dance with a 68-year-old man? And he's holding her hand.
Sure. Never done before. All stuff.
I have a story from one of his daughters said she bought him a 38 chrome pistol. Nobody knows this.
Who did? Shirley Temple?
Shirley.
She did.
She told me. He taught me how to dance. And a lot of people don't know. He's the only one that created the word called copacetic and put it in the dictionary. He created that.
Yeah. Oh, people say that.
He said everything's copacetic. He created the club.
Wow.
He did that. He was the most charitable guy. He gave out money. But he was, and talking about today, a lot of people say copyright against music. And they said, you can't copyright a dance step. Yes, you can. I don't care what anybody says. You can copyright that. Bill Robinson proved that, but he had to do it a little bit forcefully. If you go on stage doing each dancer doing your own step, somebody doing Bill Robinson's step, he said, look, or you're not going to give the person credit? They said, I made this step. No, you didn't. It's Bill Rock.
It's hard.
So he walks into the wings and he sat there. You going to finish that step out? He's out to get you, Bill. Pop!
Wow.
Got him in the leg.
What?
He said, now.
On the stage.
Oh, yeah, you can't be up there. Yeah, Pop is happening.
Wow. The Shirley Temple gave him the gun.
Right, Shirley Temple.
Oh, but she's
And
accessory.
yeah, no, but
After
you,
the fact.
Yeah, after the fact.
do you think they're going to arrest him? No. The city of New York and stuff gave him an honorary sheriff badge.
Wow.
See?
They could carry legally.
Yes, he's legal. So everybody said, no, before I do
Bill.
this step, is he in the audience?
Oh, well.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only person that can get away was Bill Bailey, great dancer, and that was Pearl Bailey's brother. You know, so these giants created rhythms and stuff, and you had, Bill Robinson, the Nicholas brothers, John Bubbles, the first father of rhythm dance. He brought the rhythm. And our black pioneers, women, oh my God, the first Afro-American woman, Jenny Lagon, I had the pleasure of working with her, was the first woman in 1932 that MGM grabbed her and gave her a contract. She was making $1,200 a week.
Wow. Back then.
Too.
Right?
Right. Today, so
It is, right? At that time.
Really? And
She was-
hello, boss.
And she was going, and who she was going against? She was going against Eleanor Powell, supposed to be the queen of tap.
Right.
But she was called, MGM said, well, we got two queens now. So they called her the sepia queen. So
I
she
think I've
was
seen her before.
Sure.
Because I know they get out there doing something
yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah. And she,
Right.
that's right. And she was originally called the Whitmore live version of Minnie the Moocher.
Right.
She was
Cab Calloway.
she was a monster. She created all the pantsuits for the women in 1930s. The women dominated a lot of stuff, especially the blues market. Bessie Smith, Mamie Smith. Like I said, black dance, like I said, tap dancing, swing dancing, jazz dancing. It's very powerful. And thing that I see people today, they don't really go back hard enough to understand. We are doing certain things, but they don't know why we're doing it.
Right.
It's
Well, that's
just
what we want to be
genetically.
able to, have you here to talk about that history. Choreography wise, what are just even a couple of projects that you've enjoyed the most working on?
Oh my God.
I know it's hard because you have a long list.
I put it like this. I do 53 shows a year.
Right.
I choreograph. And that's between,
53 shows a year. Did you
Give
hear
us
that?
some
I have
idea
to
of some
stop
of those.
about that.
okay, 19, okay. I had the first company because of Inner City Culture City. That helped me out. And being in Crenshaw Boulevard, C. Bernard Jackson and what's the date? James Burke.
James Burke.
I would go into this building. They had this beautiful dance and I would dance. And they would say, this guy snuck in there. Because I didn't have no rehearsal play.
Right.
And Bernard Jackson, see him, should we get him out? And Bernard Jackson's mind was completely different. He said, is he doing any harm? No. What is he doing down there? He's just dancing. Let him do it. Dance. He ain't doing no harm there. He's practicing his craft.
Right.
But I do think he should go there and ask him, of course, his name is. I came in there and a gentleman came in named Larry White. Mm-hmm. And he came in, he said, you need to come up into the young youth program. And I came in there and, I watched all these kids dancing and that's how I got my first job as a choreographer. And they were doing C. Bernard Jackson's play called Fly Blackbird. And they said they didn't have a choreographer because one of the choreographers didn't make it. And I looked at it and said, that's easy. Put dance steps to this. They said, well, you think you could do it? Yeah. And that my first time they threw a script at me. Come back to in a week and a half. Come back to I came back the next day. I'm ready for the first number.
Let's go.
And did it. Mr. Jackson looked at me, got in there. I put the show together in 2 weeks and we got up. We lasted about 6 weeks on stage. We ran 6 weeks and I won Best Choreographer Awards. And that's when Cliff Rockmore saw me. And he watched me. He said, who you are? I said, I'm in the Young Youth Program. He said, I'm watching you. He said, I've got a project for you. Eventually I got to Cliff. That's when I did Crenshaw Boulevard.
Right.
That's right.
Choreographed that. And we ran immensely on that. Then I left there, did Beautiful Senorita. I had to learn flamenco, but I did it. But it opened my mind to do and working with these old masters, the different masters, kept me going, which got me my own company, which in 1980, I left with the first Black company that did nothing but vernacular jazz dance. I've been around the world 26 times. I did Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Sofia, France, Taiwan. I've been around, and then I came back, went to what's that place called, in Washington, D.C.,
the Black Museum?
Yeah, the Institute of
Fine Arts?
I'm a full-time, Smithsonian.
Oh, Smithsonian. Yeah, it was good.
I was thinking.
I'm a part.
Yeah, okay,
It can be
like a game show. Okay,
It's a game show.
a few minutes. I'm glad you got to ring the buzzer and keep moving.
Yeah. Well, I'm a 4-time Smithsonian honoree, and I got a chance there, and I was there. I flew in to do Duke Ellington's Hundreds with Kitty Burrell. I flew there and worked with all the jazz artists. Came back. Then I did Miles Davis show. I worked with Miles Davis. Then I got a chance to play music with Count Basie. Then so I had my group going, and I came back and did television. And that's when my television career started as a choreographer. And that was in 84 to 92. I was the first Black choreographer that had 5 major television shows. I was the first one that got the NAACP Image Awards nationally syndicated. And by a gentleman that found me, and his name was Hamilton Cloud.
Oh, I know Hamilton
You
Cloud.
knew Hamilton Cloud? He saw me and he watched me, said, I'm watching this guy's choreography. And my first job, I didn't know who Hamilton was. He said, I got a client. I want you to teach this routine to. And guess who it was? Weird Al Yankovic.
Of all people.
Yeah, and I said, what is it?
Who thought he could dance?
I had to dance teach him that.
Wow.
But that was my first time in music videos.
Sure.
So my first film was a movie called This Is the Johnny Dangerously with Michael Keaton.
Right.
Weird Al did the music. I came to the choreography. We won an award for that. Came back. The movie Rocky came out. And then we did a parody on Living in America. But we did it called Living with a Hernia. And then, we would do parodies, and I would go to Vegas with him, put together a show. I started doing choreography with Rick James. I've done Tina Marie. I've done the Commodores, James Mooney. Then I came back and then I got a call. He said, we're in. I said, what do you mean we're in? The man wants us. I said, what man wants us?
Right.
He wants you to do choreography on one of his pieces. They're going to let us, because in the days, some rappers and stuff didn't want us to make fun of the record. Some didn't care. But this one guy said, I want to see what you could do on that. So guess who it was? Michael Jackson.
Wow.
So I got a chance to do, we did Beat It. Okay.
Right.
I did Beat It, but I did Bad. Then we called it Fat.
Wow.
And then Mike.
You're the person behind.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then I was with Vince Patterson. I was one of the guys that did the Smooth Criminal.
Sure.
Bounce from Moose. I did Smooth Criminal. Then I came back and did Escapade with Janet's. Sure. Came back and I helped out and did All Right with Janet Jackson and stuff. So I said there was, and the 5 I did NAACP 6 year, Soul of American Music 5 years, Stomp 2 years. These are all television shows. And Miss Collegiate Afro-American Pageant 6 years when Disney picked us up with Hamilton. And then we moved to Florida and shot. I had all the Black colleges. Right. And these are major shows. I had a chance for, and my musical director, H.B. Barnum.
Yeah, I know H.B.
You know H.B.
Golf tournaments all the time.
That's right.
I see him quite a bit.
Yeah. And the NAACP music, my musical director was Patrice Rushen. And so, yeah. And I was the first Black that did Clark's.
Oh, wow.
I did Clark, Rocco Socko New Year's Eve. I did 3 years.
You have been amazingly filling up the the atmosphere with wonderful talent and even discovering probably some talent.
Yeah.
But as speaking of Savion Glover, that kind of tap dance, that kind of form of dancing, came along shortly after the real tap was
Yeah.
played. So nobody was doing it. It was really kind of like very avant-garde-ish. And
Yes.
of course, my Gregory Hines.
Oh, God.
Brother, I would not talk about them. I love me some Gregory Hines and his brother was Gregory. Oh,
And Maurice.
my God.
And Maurice.
And
You
Maurice,
broke
yes.
it from most.
Oh, yeah, and he had his own style. And just
He was monsters.
I love
And they call it
hitting.
hitting. Everybody has a certain style.
Right.
It's called hitting. You got buck and wing, you got flash, you got contemporary, you have sand dancing. There's one called bottle dance at the Ford brother. But when Savion came out, he watched Gregory. Gregory
Right.
was a very good influence on him.
Yes.
And he came out and he said, I'm going to take it and put it in the hip hop group.
He modified it.
Yeah, modified it. And your kids were like, whoa, I didn't know this was happening. Savion's a monster, boy.
That's what he
Yeah,
is.
demons.
Took it to
Yeah, he
And he, oof. And
Yep.
he came out and that's how Hitler became. And now we have a lot of incredible tap dancers today now. There was a gentleman that came here and I have to mention him because a lot of people, there's so many people. They're great. And you got, and those who have to excuse me if I don't mention, but there's a gentleman, Paul Kennedy. Had his and his sister Arlene Kennedy, incredible. And we had a group of kids, about 22 kids, and we just drilled. He would have me come in and drill them. And now those kids came in and Broadway shows like Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk, came from Paul.
right.
Black and Blue
Right.
from
I know it's phenomenal. I saw
all these kids. Denisha is like the world's best female tap dancer.
Is that right?
We got Jason Samuel Smith. We got Sarah Reich. We got Derek Grant, Josette Wiggins.
The twin brothers.
Brothers.
Yeah.
They're just
Excellent.
excellent. I mean, just
Cutie pies.
yeah.
continuing to keep the legacy going.
And these are people today just do it, and I feel they're out there, and these dancers and the tap dancers as well as from swing dancers.
Right.
Yeah.
That I feel, these are great ones that are out right now. And
Yeah,
I
because
just-
it can be and has been like in the past, like almost a dying art at
Yes.
some point.
yes,
And I've seen some shows on television about them losing the knack the kids. A lot of kids don't even know what tap
Right.
dance is.
Well,
They're
yeah.
lost in the mix.
Talk about some of
And that's right. So people like you and the ones that are coming up, and even Savion Glover and the twins that they see in Beyonce's
video.
choreography videos
Yeah.
and different things like that. And
yeah,
a lot of them are trying to get back into it, and once again, unfortunately, within the school systems, they're
Oh,
not
God.
teaching much of any
Disappearing.
musical or anything or dance.
You're right.
We used to have it, at least some electives that you can express yourself and have that energy put in a whole nother level, because
Right.
not everybody is academically inclined to go and be a physicist or a doctor
Oh, yeah.
or a
Right,
lawyer.
sure.
And so many things are just not being taught that they should be in the school.
You're
And
right.
especially all of our arts and crafts and dancing and music and everything.
It's therapy.
Oh,
Dance
it's
is
definitely.
therapy. Dance is therapy.
That's why we are
It-
music and medicine
Yeah,
right here,
I was just
baby.
gonna ask you.
It's very much. With music, I have had people I worked with that would say, "Oh, so-and-so's horrible in math." Or they can't concentrate. What's wrong with them? Take them to class. Let them get exposed. I look at little kids. I look at stuff. Some people that were very slowest person. I said, "Hey, I want you to hear this rhythm." And they hear a rhythm. I want you to go pop, 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 and they'll pop, pop, pop. I said, we duplicate the same sound, call a response. Then I would move into another phase. I want you covered. Within about 2 or 3 weeks, they were like, boom, and their mothers, wait a minute, they've never done that before.
There.
Myself, I hate me myself.
How old were they?
I hate math. I hate math.
Me too.
But when I started dancing,
Do you
Yeah.
think it's healing, or do you think it's the vibrations? What do you think is that?
I think it
element?
taps in another part of your mind. You have to trigger something in a kid or he or she's mind. And once they look at something, the curiosity, like the kids that their attention span is not fast enough. You're giving them something that's hitting them quick, faster than what they think. So now they got to keep up. You see, now they got to
Yeah,
keep up
yeah,
because their
yeah.
attention span is like, ooh, got something now that,
Sure.
oh, I got that on board. No,
Sure. It's right. It is.
so it's hidden,
It is.
you know, and so they keep up. I say, okay, I'm doing. I say, don't do a shuffle. I said, do shuffleboard chain. Oh, shuffleboard chain. I said, how many beats is that? You talking about sound? I said, sing it. Oh, 4 beats.
Right. Then they
I go
get it.
cha-de-do-ba. Okay, that's 8. I go da-da-da-da-da-da. That's 16. I can do it by mute. I can do it by movement, and I can feel it, and I can hear it. But if I try to do it, so I had to do a test. I go like this. Oh,
right,
okay, there's
right. Yes. Because, you know, even watching someone tap dance or being in the environment,
Sure. Or it pulls you in.
it's hypnotic.
Yeah.
that's right. Because
You can even close your eyes and don't have to watch it when you hear it.
Yeah, right.
And you know it, and the flow, and
yourself.
it's so rhythmic, and different ways that they move and do the dance and the step and the clicks.
that's it. Because it's
You
it's
do get
hidden.
enthralled with it,
True.
and it's incredible.
You're talking about the healing and the vibration that comes through the music. Talk to us also about just some of the list of artists, many of whom are current. Usher, Doja Cat, you've worked with. Talk to us about just some of those scenes that you helped shoot for those videos. Choreographed.
Usher. I got a chance to see Usher. It's we did a Whitney Martin commercial.
Right. I remember that. That was a really good commercial.
And it was supposed to be 2 minutes long until the scene I was supposed to choreograph was the Soul, 1970 Soul.
Right.
We talked about Soul Train, people that came out of Soul Train. And I said, okay, the 1970s. Okay, no problem. I'll come in. So I came in and worked with the choreographer, and they were doing steps. And I just looked at it and said, well, that's not quite, we didn't do it that way. He said, what do you mean? Soul Train, we didn't do it that way. The shotgun went this way. You know, we did the Camelot, the rock steady.
Right.
These are old stuff. So I helped out with that. And then they had different rooms because the commercial was supposed to be like a time worth of different dances at that time. So when I walked back, I saw the swing section. I said, oh, you're doing first stops. I said, what's that? First stop was invented by a lady named Sugar Sullivan. And she won the Harvest Moon Ball in 1955.
Oh,
And she's still alive too. She was that. So I said, no, let me show you how to do the first stops, you know, some rhythmic, you know, and the line. And so I showed them that. And it was the Cotton Club era. They had a Cotton Club. And then so I helped out with that. Their band leader didn't show up. The upright bass player didn't show up. So I hopped up and played the bass. When I played the bass, plus I showed Usher, I said, Usher, you're going to have to learn how to do this tap step. His eyes got, then I brought two of my dancers in. We did the tap. We did the Lindy Hop. We did, it started in 1917. You didn't know what dances that was. No, several more. That was Foxtrot. So the commercial was talking about how cognac, jazz, and hip hop
right.
was connected. And we did, the whole, all the way up to today. And so that was 4 days of rehearsal.
Right.
Yeah.
8 days of shooting.
One commercial, 2 minutes.
Yep.
Well, you're supposed to be one commercial 2 minutes, but they kept the whole 6 minutes.
Sure.
And that was great. He was great. He was great to work. Usher was
It's
like
memorable. It was
Of
excellent.
course, that was wonderful.
and and then I did I was called to come Doja Cats.
Right, for Vegas.
And we did this remake soundtrack of Hound Dog.
Right,
That's what a
exactly.
Hound Dog.
Right, she totally
She did.
killed it.
She knocked that out the bag. But I had to give her the history behind the Hound Dog because everybody think Elvis did it, but it was not Elvis that did Hound Dog. It was
Big Mama Thornton.
Big Mama Thornton.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we did the voiceover. It ain't nothing but. And then she did a rap on top of it.
Right.
The whole history phrase of it, working with new people I like. I love working with new people because they get a chance to see the history unravel. You're not only in this zone. You know what came first, what came next, and infuse what you have, you know. And then I did Tyler Perry's A Jazz Man's Blues.
Right.
That was a feature film. Those who have worked with Tyler Perry, you know, he's very fast.
Yeah.
He's very fast, but I had to grab him, and I was a consultant for him. Some people here shoot like 2 to 3 Horatio. I made him shoot 8 to 12.
Really?
I said, no, shoot it again. Shoot it again.
Right.
Shoot it again.
Get it right.
Is that right?
So when you see the film, it looks different. It's cinematic. It's a whole
By Wood
cinematic.
Brothers.
I built the juke joint for him. We were out in the swamps with alligators and
right?
snakes.
Right.
The juke joint.
Right.
A
No,
real juke
Real.
joint. We have the band here and the dancers.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
Hanging.
This is the last question. Legacy. What's one of those greatest elements that you want to leave behind that you're hoping people take away from all the work, all the people you've worked with all these years, all the music and the performances?
One of the greatest things I'm working on the people that I work with. And I felt, I met them when I was in the city, when I was a teenager. I seen them here. They're passed away now. I knew them when they were 100 years old. Norma Miller, Leonard Reed, the father of the Shim Sham. And they have these incredible stories and books, but a lot of the young dancers or performers, they might not never know who they are because they don't teach that in classes. They don't teach that in the colleges. Only a few of us were there underneath their wings. Right. And the first thing all of them said, tell them, don't forget us. That's all we want to know. Don't forget us.
You're talking about your latest film project.
Oh, my latest film project. I am going to preserve the history of Afro-American Black dance. And it's going to be a story here. The story of Los Angeles, Harlem, Central Avenue.
Okay.
With jazz fam and the story of the Cotton Club, the original story of the Cotton Club. And I have the rights to the Savoy Ballroom in Harlem. And the Leonard Reed story, the man that created the first jazz line dance at Leonard Reed. So I have all that material. It's just sitting, the original music, original choreography, what the war and how Los Angeles used to be in 1899.
But you heard it here from Chester Whitmore himself, dancer, choreographer, film producer extraordinaire, really sort of helping us to tap into our history of dance and this art form that continues to stay alive with younger artists, including Sabian Glover, Usher, Doja Cat. And we appreciate all the work, all the time you put in, the legacy. Clearly the passion comes across through your dancing and things like that. So we really appreciate having you here today.
Well, thank you for having me here, guys. Say this lady about that.
I know, right? Always.